What's up, y'all? I'm back out here on the range again on a warm sunny day. Supposed to be low mid 80s, so temperature's not too bad, but when this sun's out like it is, it gets hot fast, and unfortunately my good old shade tree don't kick in till around noon, so I had to bring me some artificial shade till then to get a couple of longer range tests done, and I'm gonna start things off with some good old 9mm. All right, y'all, we actually back off the range here for a minute. I had some technical difficulties during the editing and somehow lost this clip explaining what we were testing out here today. So I figured I better stick this one in there so y'all know what was going on at least. We got the split jelly contraption for this one again with the radar and bench up here close, and then the couple of blocks down there at 28 yards with my heavy clothing barrier as usual. And then what we tested on this one here is a couple of what we used to consider some budget 9mm rounds. They probably still are a little cheaper than some stuff, but not really budget anymore. These things are hovering around 40 bucks a box most time when you see them. Obviously it's the good old Winchester white box. I think they're even in black boxes now, but still white box for now. The 115 and the 147 is what we're looking at here. Now I've tested both of these in the past in shorter barrels. Pretty good performance overall. Here and there was a miss, but for the most part they did pretty well, especially when they were really true budget rounds. Now velocity on this stuff is saying 1165 on the 115 and 990 on the 147. Now obviously that's out of handgun length barrel, so we're going to be looking at something different here today. Now as far as these two rounds, 115 on the left, 147 on the right, projectiles definitely look a little different. The 147 having a longer look, it doesn't taper off near as soon, but as far as the opening, they're both about the same there as far as diameter and depth as far as I can tell. And as far as what we testing them out of, we're using the Henry Homesteader again with the 16-inch barrel. But this one ends up being pretty interesting, and it gives me some more info to base my decision as far as test distance with this carbine stuff, because I'm still really undecided. So again, let me know down in the comments what y'all think as far as leaving it at 28 yards or bringing it in to like maybe 10 or 12. All right, let's see what kind of velocity we get out of these things. I'm gonna do a 5-round average, starting with this 115 first. And remember, this is saying 1165 from handgun. So if I was guessing, I'm gonna say it's gonna pick up about 150. So probably around 1300 would be my guess. If y'all aren't familiar with this radar, like I always mention, you're gonna get multiple numbers. The large ones at the muzzle, and then 5 across the bottom. I've got set for 10, 28 yards, which is where the gel is, and then 50, 75, and 100. Let's see what we get with the 115ers here. Again, I expect we're gonna pick up about 150 or so at the muzzle anyway. Hopefully we don't have any trouble. I took this brake off this time. That brake really makes this thing quiet, believe it or not. 1272, 1293, 1301, 1310, and 1326. So about what I figured. Let's check out the average. All right, with the spreads there, it was right on the money. 1300 feet per second average. Extreme spread was 54 and gave us a standard deviation of 20.1. So 1300, 150 or so. What I'm really curious to see is the performance in the gel from these, are really the velocity at 28 yards, because that's kind of going to help me decide as far as to keep this test distance or move it in a little closer. But let's reset this and check out the 147s. All right, let's see what the heavy boys do. The 147s box again on this was saying 990. I doubt we pick up 150 on these, being that they're heavier. I think they're going to hold that velocity longer, but I don't think we're going to pick up as much. If we picked up 150, we'd be right around 1150, but I don't think we're going to see it. Curious to see what we do get though. Let's see what happens here. 1034, 1061, 1030, 1060, and 1097. I can tell you what, a whole lot quieter with that 147 and a really light recoil impulse. Let's check out the average on this. All right, definitely less velocity gain with this heavier weight through the carbine. It was picked up even less than 100 over what the handgun says. So average on that was 1056 feet per second. Our extreme spread was 67, gave us a standard deviation of 26.9. So pretty interesting. About what I figured though. If we went back and looked at those numbers, I will, but I would say this is holding its velocity. It's not dropping off near as fast as that 115. But anyway, on this, we had 1,056. And if you remember on the 115, it was 1,300. So you're talking about 244 feet per second faster from the lighter projectile. That's a big, big difference right there. I'd say that's probably going to make a noticeable difference in the gel, but really curious to see what happens. Let's get it reset, and y'all know what time it is. All right, y'all, it's which white box is the right box jelly time. I'm gonna put one of each into the gel, starting with this 115 first. I've got us pulled back pretty far because I probably don't have to with this 115, but just to be on the safe side. That thing went really, really high. Let me see if it stayed in. All right, y'all, that thing's actually in a perfect spot down there, and it looks beautiful. It must have popped out right at the very end. It took a little upward curve on me, so I'm gonna put another one just so we'll have a projectile. There's no doubt this stuff did well, though. Let's see if I don't have any drop marks up above this center is the problem, and I'm having to aim low, so it's kind of a guess. All right, that's gonna be really close, but I hope it was low enough. Let me go see what I got. All right, perfect on that one right there. And something interesting to see, that velocity at 28 yards was 1,167, where this says 1,165 at the muzzle with a handgun. So once again, we're seeing the velocity at 28 yards from this 16-inch carbine is pretty much equaling the velocity from the handgun at 10 feet. So very, very interesting. This might sway me to move a little closer with this carbine stuff. If we're going to get the same performance at 28 yards that we get at 10 yards, then we can already pretty much guess for the rest of them. But let's see what this 147 does. That being said, I'm a little worried about the performance on this one right here. And I'm a little worried about placement because I'm guessing again, and this one is got less space, so let's see what happens. All right, that should have been a good one. Let me go see what we got. All right, let's check out what we got down here, y'all. Really nice performance from all of them, in my opinion. The top two, those were the 115s. That first one, you can see, it came in really nice disruption there, and almost, well, actually at the end of its travel. That projectile's probably laying around here really close. Right up under it, same thing, 115. Again, very nice disruption. Travels on through here, and it stops almost exactly where that first one popped out, and looks like you got some really nice expansion from it. And then, of course, the last one down there on the bottom, that's the 147. You can definitely tell a difference here. Just didn't have the velocity that these had, so not as much expansion, not as much energy dumped immediately right there. So smaller disruption. Now it does carry it all the way through the block, passes into this second block, and looks like you're about 4 inches into this second block. And this one does have some expansion actually, but not nearly as much as these 115s. And then for your penetration on them, these 115s, this first one went out at exactly 14 inches. The second one is exactly 14 inches. So very, very nice consistency from those there. And then this 147 is out here at 19 3/4. So really, really nice penetration from all three of those. And then here's your close-up look. Again, both of those on the top, 115, bottom 147. You can see a definite difference in the disruption between them. Follow them on through here. There's your 115 that we kept, the one that popped out exactly the same distance. We keep on going into the second block. There's your 147, and as you can see, you do have some expansion on that, but not nearly what you got out of that 115. All right, let's check out these projectiles, y'all. No question which is which. This is the 147, this is the 115. You can obviously see smaller expansion, bigger on the 115. And if you look from the side, no question at all when you look this way, a whole lot longer projectile left on this 147. So both of them, though, pretty nice expansion. Now, this 147, you're not gonna get a whole lot because it is a 147. So I think this is really impressive. Again, for what these are now, they're not budget anymore. So as far as cost, they're right up there with some really nice performing rounds, but some pretty nice performance from what I'm seeing from these again. So let's get to measurements and see what we got. I don't see any kind of loss. We'll start with the 115. This one's actually 116.6. Let's make sure that's right. Yeah, 116.6 on that one, so we got a little extra there. The 147 is at 147.8, so nothing lost on either one of them. And then for the sizes, we'll start with the 147. You got 4.69 and 4.53, so some expansion there and nothing to write home about, but plenty in my book. And then the 115, you got 0.53 and 5.44, so nice expansion on that one. And again, if you ask me, it's plenty on both of these. And there you have it, y'all, the Winchester White Box 115 and 147 through the 16-inch carbine. Pretty impressive stuff again, really. Now, like I say, I've already said it a couple times, if this stuff was still short enough budget rounds, this would be some fantastic stuff. But for what you have to pay now, it's really not that great of a deal. I mean, there still are good performers, and if you got them or if you can get them for a deal, absolutely, I'd grab some. But if they're 40 bucks a box, which is what you see them for a lot of times now, I don't know that I just purposely go pick these up over something else. Not because they're bad by any means, but again, just because you can get some really nice stuff for right at the same money. All right, y'all, I'm gonna wrap it up right there for another 9mm carbine test that I think gave us some pretty interesting info. Nice performance from both of these rounds. I wouldn't have a bit of problem running either one of them myself. What I'm more interested in seeing though is these velocity numbers out there at 28 yards from this 16-inch barrel. Once again, we saw basically the same velocity at 28 yards from this 16-inch barrel that we saw from the shorter barrels up here at 10 feet. And this is four different weights of 9mm now. It's 115, 124, 147, and that 90 grain interceptor. All four of those were right there at the same velocity out there at 28 yards using this 16-inch carbine. So that right there makes my decision to stay out here at 28 yards or come back in to like 10 or 12 even tougher, because there's two different trains of thoughts there. 28 yards, I know it's not too far for self-defense. I made that comment in the last one and I got all kind of different comments. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that's not possible, but let's face it, if you had to use something in self-defense, it's most likely going to be closer than 28 yards. Now, it can happen, yes. So the other thought there could be that if I'm grabbing a carbine, it's because I'm needing to engage something at a further distance than I could use a shorter barrel for. Now, again, that's not always the case, because some people use a carbine or a shotty or something with a longer barrel as their primary home defense tool. So I guess long story short, I still can't make up my mind. I've got a 300 blackout test that I'm doing right after this one right here. I'm keeping it at 28 yards just because I'm already set up and everything, but maybe I'll do a poll or I'll ask some more, or I'll do a live stream and we'll talk about it on there. But I've got to make up a decision, because if we keep seeing the same thing at 28 yards like this that we do at 10 feet with the shorter barrels, I mean, it's kind of a waste, because we can just sit here and assume that they're all going to basically be that. But let me know what y'all's thoughts are again down in the comments. Would you rather me keep it out there at 28, or would you rather me bring it in closer? If you did enjoy the video, make sure you reach down and hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and make sure you got those notifications turned on so you get notified when I upload stuff. If you're doing some shopping, like I always remind you, hit up those affiliate links in the video description. Anything you buy after checking out those links, I get a kickback from them towards the channel, so I really do appreciate that. Again, a big thanks to all my Range Gang members and every single one of y'all for showing the support that y'all do. Like I say, I've got one more test planned for out here today, so stay on the lookout for that. And in the meantime, stay safe, stay prepared, and I'll see you soon.